going on, everybody? Welcome to the RBS Cinema Podcast.
I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
This is Sparta! I'm thinking I'm back.
Why so serious?
Avengers!
Assemble. I'm Batman.
You better lawyer up, asshole. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
I'll be back.
You shall not pass!
RBS.
Lovely.
Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of RBS Cinema. This week's episode, we are talking about Sicario. But before we talk about that, I'm your host, Devin. With me, as always, is co-host Jack.
I'm still Jack.
And join us, won't you, as we go to the Mexican border as we try to take out drug cartels and try to get revenge, possibly, maybe? I don't know. Let's find out. And I'm kind of excited to talk about this movie just because I really like this movie. Well, I guess really like is a strong word. I like this movie, I should say.
You thought it was a good movie?
Yes.
Or you think it's a good movie?
Yeah, I think it's a good movie, but find out at the end of this episode if it is a rent, buy, or skip. So, we will get to our consensus at the end of the episode.
We may decide that we changed our minds by the end of this.
Yeah. We might say that it's a skip. Who knows? Stay tuned. But otherwise, I asked you before we started the podcast if you watched Supergirl and Street Fighter. Because those came out for the not Supergirl, but Street Fighter came out for the Game Awards.
Yes,
this week.
The Game Awards happened. The Video Game Awards happened hosted by Jeff Keighley, and I watched only about half of them because I awoke from a nap that I took because I was very tired yesterday, yep. And then I came in just after probably they revealed the trailer for Street Fighter 6 and all the casts were on stage.
Yeah, and
I remember being whelmed.
Yeah, not overwhelmed. You're just like,
not underwhelmed. Okay, just whelmed. It's a good word to use when you don't feel anything in particular about the thing that you're looking at. And I watched the trailer before we started the podcast, and it's like, oh, it's okay. It's like a 46-second teaser. It's got a lot of shiny, happy faces in there, and you know, the wrestling fans will like it, I suppose.
Yeah, that's for sure, because in Street Fighter, you've got Cody Rhodes is playing as Guile, and you've also got Jason Momoa, who is playing as Blanca, and Roman Reigns is Akuma. Yeah, Akuma, that's it.
Or Goki, depending on your localization. And then everybody else is kind of like a... actually, like, if we're talking about like the celebrities who you might know, 50 Cent is playing as Balrog, who is actually in Japanese, his name is Mike Bison, but they have to change that.
Yeah, because M. Bison.
Because M. Bison's normally name is Vega, but Vega is the name of the guy with the claws. They have to change that again. There's a lot of weird localization stuff with Street Fighter.
Yeah.
The guy playing Bison is like I would refer to him as like emo almost. Yeah. But he's like he's a grown man. It doesn't have quite the swagger as the M. Bison from the original Street Fighter movie, I would say. He's more sinewy, I would say.
Yeah.
David Dastmalchian, I believe his name is.
He was the Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah, and he's been in some other stuff, too. Wasn't he in... No, for some reason, I want to think that he was in Mickey 17.
I don't think he was.
Which reminds me, I need to watch that movie again. That was a really good movie.
It was, actually. I need to buy it because I still have my ticket, and I need to put my ticket in the movie. So
yeah,
but I started doing that this year, and I'm just like, you know what? It's actually not a half bad idea. Just to, if I go see the movie, I have the ticket. I think it's really good. I will actually go and buy it on physical, and then like I'll put it in the movie. So
yeah, I like the Street Fighter and the Supergirl trailers. I had those strong feelings one way or the other. You know,
yeah.
I like Capcom. I've liked Capcom in the past, but Capcom has been kind of stinking it up the past year or so.
Yeah.
In terms of what they've been doing with games. I will say this though, I have no vitriol like I did when I watched the trailer for the Monster Hunter movie. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
It doesn't look nearly as bad. It looks like if you adapted Street Fighter 6. So
Pretty much.
people will like that, I think.
Yeah,
it doesn't come out until next year though.
I am very excited for Street Fighter because we haven't gotten a Street Fighter game since '94.
You mean
like
a movie?
live action? Yeah.
You said a Street Fighter game.
Oh, yeah. No, I meant movie.
Game? There's been
We haven't gotten a Street Fighter game since '94.
No.
Everything else is just bullshit. But no, I'm very excited to see Street Fighter because, especially from what they tried to do back in '94 versus now they're actually trying to make the game into live action.
Yeah,
much.
I mean,
they're trying a lot harder because, like, especially a lot of the characters that are in the movie are going to be more character accurate. I feel like it's only a teaser trailer. Nobody's really talking in it. It's just overlaid by a cool sound music. So it's kind of like a music video.
Yeah,
almost.
it's got like
with a bunch of like flash of characters that just pop up on screen for like 2 seconds.
And
at
it's
a time.
got like Punk Tactics in the background.
Yeah. So, and then of course you have to have, especially at the end where you have the announcer saying like "Game over, you win," and like, especially at the end of the trailer where I don't know who it is because it's just a blink and you miss it character, but somebody's like beating up a Honda car.
Yeah.
So kind of like they do in like I think it's Street Fighter 2 if I remember.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, dude, that's cool. Like, we get to finally see somebody beat the shit out of a car and everything, which is awesome. And I can't wait. And I still have Street Fighter a special place in my heart because ever since I started watching it, like, for the first time, I have always loved it.
Yeah.
So because it is such a bad movie that it's just like, dude, I just love it so much.
You have more of a connection to the Street Fighter movie than you do the actual video games.
Yes, I have played the games before. Not 6. I don't think I've played 5. I've played Street
5 wasn't
Fighter
that
before.
good.
Yeah, I've played Street Fighter before, and like I just think it's a good like fighting game.
People say that the best ones are 2, Third Strike, and 4.
Right.
Or Ultra Street Fighter 4, like the most like refined version of
Yeah,
it.
because they keep coming out with different iterations of 2, where it's like, oh, it's 2 Turbo, or it's like 2 Turbo Max.
There's been a lot of re-releases
like that.
of Street Fighter 2. Definitely, it's one of Capcom's most like one of its best-selling games of all time.
Yeah, 100%.
Best-selling Street Fighter game for sure.
Yeah, hands down, probably the best Street Fighter game.
So many times, but
yeah. But yeah, and then like before the episode, we were talking about Supergirl because Jack never saw the trailer. So
he showed it to me, and I was like, oh, looks cool.
It's another like quippy superhero movie. It's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, only it's just one character.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well for you guys.
So might watch it when it comes to streaming, but I don't have an overwhelming desire to go see it in theaters.
Yeah, because like I had a desire to go and see Superman just because I was just like, oh, cool, like it's Superman.
Yeah,
like this actually looks really good, and so I went and saw it, and I thought it was really, really good, and everything because it was more based on the comics versus any of the other iterations that we've seen.
Yeah.
So, like, Man of Steel was just Zack Snyder's vision of how Superman was supposed to be, like, what he thought Superman could be portrayed as.
Yeah.
Like, a god amongst men, like, super dark and gritty type of character to where he's more humanized and, like, not down to earth, but more humanized.
Yeah.
But... and I know that a lot of people didn't like Man of Steel or Batman v Superman for those reasons because it's a darker and grittier version of that character.
And Zack Snyder has a very specific vision of like how he wants it to be like Superman is like a Christ-like figure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So people didn't really get. I liked it.
Right.
I would go back and watch Man of Steel just to be able to see like, okay, this is how far this character has come.
Yeah. I have it on Steelbook, which is great, and I also have Batman v Superman on Steelbook because I actually decently like that movie. The unrated version is better than the theatrical version.
Well, yeah.
So and it's not because it's just because it's a little bit longer. And I'm like, no, that's not inherently the reason why. It just, for whatever reason, it just feels better being the unrated version. It's not super gruesome. It's not like Batman's breaking bones and Superman's just like lasering people in half or anything like that. It's not super gruesome, but it just adds more to the story than the theatrical.
It's like like director's cuts are usually pretty much better if you have the time to be able to watch them.
Right.
You should always be watching the director's cut if like you have enough time on your hands. Like Zack Snyder's cut
of Justice League.
Is like
where
4
it's 4
hours long. It's like if you have the time, if you really want to like dive deep into it, then you should probably watch the director's cut.
Right. Well, it's kind of like with now more so is Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair.
Yeah, you keep telling me about that.
That came out, and that is Quentin Tarantino's exact vision of how he originally had the movie of Kill Bill to be, because he didn't want to split it off into 2 parts, and so
but they said no one's going to watch a 4-hour movie.
Right. And so the producers are like, yeah, you got to cut this in half or something, because like nobody's going to sit there and watch a 4-hour movie. And he goes like, all right, fine. I'll cut it in half and I'll make it into 2 parts. We'll do that.
But I'm going to make it whole someday.
Yeah. And so then once Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, and it's just like, I would assume this is what Quentin did, is that he went to the producers of the movie and just went like, all right, now that we have Zack Snyder's Justice League, that is 4 hours long, that is his vision of his movie. Granted, it's on a streaming service, but still, he had his vision of how he wanted his movie to be. Can I finally make my movie the way that I wanted it to be, of Kill Bill? And they were like, yeah, sure, why not? And so now it's been released in theaters and everything. And so it's like over 4 hours long, just like Zack Snyder's is. And because it's just basically the first and second part pushed together, but with no cuts in between or anything like that. And it's his envision of what he wanted Kill Bill to actually be from the very beginning. And also at the end of the first movie where the bride is having her sword fight with all of those bad guys, and how it cuts into black and white because it's so bloody and gruesome, that's actually in color.
In color, yeah.
Yeah, in the whole bloody affair, because they originally saw that scene and then they were like, well, you got to do something about the brutality of this scene because
it won't fly.
We'll give you an NC-17 if you don't change it. He goes, all right, fine. I'll do what old Japanese movies used to do, is like make it in black and white. So.
Oh man, nowadays NC-17, that doesn't even exist anymore.
No.
R-rated movies are on such a spectrum now, where it's like it could be an R-rated just because of bad language in it, or it could be just like some guy's head gets chopped off.
Yeah.
And you could see the bits inside.
Right. Exactly.
Or you could see someone's skin be removed, and it's like, oh, that's R-rated.
Yeah. It's too gruesome for PG-13 viewers, so we need to make it rated R because it's too violent.
Imagine if Star Wars was had the ability to go rated R.
I think they almost tried to do that at some point, or like somebody wanted to make an R-rated Star Wars, and like they just can't. So because of course they're owned by Disney,
Disney would
so
not
they
let
need
them.
To make it PG-13 at least.
Yeah.
So for the violence,
which is
so
funny
the
because
that's
they
in
let
there.
Marvel do that all the time.
Right.
But they won't let Star Wars do that because they have to preserve. Like
Well,
Star Wars is for children.
Well, do you mean that for Marvel, rated R is Deadpool?
I mean, basically.
Well,
like, isn't there like another? Well, they also let them do it for like TV shows and stuff like that, like like Daredevil and Punisher and stuff like that. Like that's more.
Yeah, but that's also more streaming servicey. And
I guess.
You can't set the guideline to that too.
Isn't Thunderbolts rated R?
No, it's PG-13
Oh,
still.
really? Okay.
None of them are rated R except for Deadpool and Wolverine.
I guess those are like
Deadpool and 1 and 2 don't fall into the MCU. Because that's more based upon the X-Men movies.
So I
but
guess
Deadpool and
more
Wolverine does go along with the MCU because of him being introduced into it, and so like that's the only rated R MCU movie that's.
So I guess it's like a special circumstance. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm just thinking about like all the times that like someone like puts a lightsaber through someone and it just cauterizes the wound immediately, so there's no blood.
Right.
It's like lame.
Yep. But let's move on to watch lists.
Yeah, sorry,
here.
we too much of a tangent.
Yeah, too much of a tangent, and we do apologize whenever we talk about DC or Marvel movies because then it just goes off onto a 20-minute tangent.
Yeah.
So, but that's only because of how things are now. I'll have you start the watch list.
Yeah, I'll go over my watch list a little bit. I watched the latest episode of Pluribus yesterday.
Nice.
I'm really, really liking it so far. I'm curious to see where Vince Gilligan takes it because knowing Vince Gilligan, it's not just gonna be a one season thing. He's gonna try to stretch it out for at least 5. So
That's what I was thinking. It was like 5 seasons or something.
yeah, I mean that's always what Vince Gilligan seems to do with that stuff, but still really, really fascinating. I don't have. Oh yeah, I guess I should mention that I left out a movie from last week's episode of my watch. So I watched Marley and Me. Again,
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
I was talking to Devin about it. It's like I wanted to watch Marley and Me again because I've seen it already twice before I saw it this most recent time because I wanted to see if it still hit as hard as it does, even though I'm an adult. And yeah, it still hits. Obviously, Marley and Me is the story of this columnist who used to be a reporter who gets a dog for his wife because he doesn't want to have a baby, basically.
Yeah.
And it's the whole story about how the dog grows up, and you see the dog grow up over the years, and they move from their home in Florida to eventually they move up to like Minnesota or Michigan, I think. And it's really, really sad because the dog dies at the end. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But
the dog dies at the end. I'm not going to watch it now.
definitely don't watch this movie with a significant other or if you have a dog because it's really, really sad. It's like a movie like you will cry at this movie.
Yeah.
It's like I put it up there with like A Man Called Otto. Like I watched A Man Called Otto and I was bawling my eyes out.
Yeah, isn't that Tom Hanks?
Yes, it's a really sad movie.
Yeah.
So if you want to feel something, I guess if you want to see if you can still feel something, if you feel your heart pulsing in your chest, watch either A Man Called Otto or Marley and Me and see if you still have the soul.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say that I actually have a movie that I'm looking forward to that I'm going to watch today after the podcast ends because the new Knives Out movie is out on Netflix.
Oh, is it?
And I really, 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 really wanted to watch it because I loved the first 2 Knives Out.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because I watched Knives Out 2 before I watched the first one.
Yeah.
And I love.
Yeah, because like you can kind of just watch them out of order because like
they
it
don't
doesn't
have anything
matter.
to do with them. Yeah.
they're not specifically directed except for Daniel Craig as Detective.
Benoit Blanc.
Yeah,
he's
Benoit
so
Blanc.
good.
Oh yeah, he's great in these movies.
Because like his accent is so fleshed out because he talks in a southern Louisianan drawl.
Yeah.
You know, because he's supposed to be Benoit. You assume that he's from New Orleans, basically,
right?
By the sound of his name.
I did think it was funny that in the first one they called him Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah,
just because of his accent.
Yeah, the guy, the murderer at the end calls him Kentucky Fried Foghorn Leghorn Drawl. Yeah, you know? So
Kentucky Fried bullshit.
Yeah, like if you're looking for a good silly murder mystery, Knives Out Glass Onion is more of a contemporary sort of thing. It was filmed during COVID.
And it's also on Netflix, so you can watch it at any given point.
Yeah, they're both on Netflix.
So,
all 3 of them, I should say, are on Netflix. So
the first one's also on Netflix? Huh.
Yeah, pretty sure it is.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, Knives Out, both of those movies are amazing. I can't wait to watch the third one to see how it turns out. I haven't seen the trailer for it because I didn't want to spoil myself because I was really excited to see it. Right. So that's on my watch list for this week. I like not my previous, but my movies I'm going to see.
Right.
And I have to remember if there was another movie that. Oh yeah, I watched The Imitation Game.
Oh yeah,
with Benedict Cumberbatch. Because I wanted. I saw it in my recommendeds. I wanted to see it again. So really interesting. Sort of biopic about Alan Turing, who was a British code breaker during World War II, who helped design a machine to be able to break Nazi codes to be able to shorten the war. Eventually, he was arrested, or he was charged with gross indecency because he was a homosexual in Britain in 1940s, 1950s, and then he committed suicide because he was suffering from basically medical castration because of part of his court order. So he would literally, his hands would shake and he would be his brain chemistry was changing so much that eventually he just committed suicide. But he was granted a posthumous pardon in 2013 by Queen Elizabeth for his efforts in the war. It's a really interesting documentary because he's Alan Turing, Benedict Cumberbatch just portrays him in such an interesting mind. He definitely has a little bit of autistic tendencies a little bit. He doesn't really understand humor. He doesn't understand people all that well. But the progression throughout the movie is really, really good, and I enjoyed it. I think this is my third time watching it. So if you like war movies but you don't like all blood and guts, then you might like this sort of one because it came out in 2013. It's really good.
Nice.
There was one other movie that I saw that. Oh yeah, I watched Chef again with Jon Favreau. Mm-hmm. So I'll leave it at that because. It's a good movie. It's one of Jon Favreau's better movies. It's just a movie about him being a chef and having a food truck. That's it.
Right.
And developing a relationship with his son. So not much. So that's my watch list for this week. Kind of a bigger one than I usually have. So
yeah. Well, yours was bigger, mine's smaller.
Okay.
So I didn't watch a whole lot this week. I watched Zach and Mary Make a Porno. So kick off with this. You probably have never seen this.
I've never seen this.
But it's all about these two roommates. They've known each other for a really, really long time. And their bills just keep piling up. And they get to the point to where they pretty much have the idea to just start making money by making a porno.
Yeah.
And so that'll fix all their problems is by making a porno. And because obviously with doing adult content, you get money from it, but also there are repercussions from that sort of thing. So, but especially for them, there's not really any repercussions except for when they tried to make a Star Wars porn parody that they had this quote unquote studio that they rented out from this guy for a month, and they had all these costumes and everything like that, and they started filming it. And then next day they go to their quote unquote studio to go and do more stuff. Then it gets bulldozed. Oh. So because apparently the guy scammed them that they rented it from. So they had to come up with something else. So then because Zach plays this by Seth Rogen, and his coworker, they work at a coffee shop. And so they're like, well, why don't we just film it here and just make it as a coffee porno. So, and it's funny and it's great. They've got maybe a couple of porn stars in it, but it's directed by Kevin Smith. So, but Jason Mewes is in the movie. So, there's and it doesn't feel like that it's a Kevin Smith movie. Because how Kevin Smith usually has his movies like Clerks or Jay and Silent Bob and stuff like that. So he also is not in the movie either. So, but it's really funny though. So I would definitely recommend checking it out if you like Seth Rogen, if you like Kevin Smith, any of those guys that are associated with this movie. I definitely give it a watch.
Okay.
So next up on my list, I have Cocaine Bear.
Okay.
So finally got around to watching this. It's been a few years since I've wanted to watch this. Do you know anything about Cocaine Bear?
Cocaine drops from a plane and the bear eats it and then goes on a rampage.
Yes. Did you know that this is based off of a true story to a certain extent, though?
Yes.
Okay. For those of you that don't know, basically, it is from real life events, except for the bear killing people, because essentially what was going on was that in 1985 there was a plane going overhead of a forest, and so it was I can't remember what it was specifically, but guy was throwing out bags of coke, or not bags of coke, but basically a bunch of coke he was throwing out of the plane, and a bear got into the cocaine and ate it, and then I think it was either hikers or wildlife people or something like that. They came across the bear and it was dead, and so they I think they did an autopsy on it or something like that, or they tested its blood and they saw that there was a copious amounts of cocaine in it. And then they were like, how the hell did the bear get cocaine? And so like that was the whole thing. And then it all pretty much integrated into like, okay, well, they found the crashed plane, they found the guy. I think they found the guy because they have a little bit of a news story in the movie specifically of explaining like, okay, like there was this guy flying this plane, it crashed, and then they found him with copious amounts of cocaine on his person, like thousands if not millions of dollars on him, and then so they connected it to the cartel and stuff like that. So they have that little news report thing that is, I think it's actually from the specific news report that they did for the live event that happened, like real life event, instead of just like them making it up in the movie. The only thing that they made up in the movie, like I said, was that the bear eats the cocaine and just goes on a killing spree. That's it. So, which then instigated all these other movies to come out, like, whoa, is it like Meth Croc or something like that?
Meth Croc.
Yeah, it was like a crocodile from Florida. Of course, it's got to be Florida, where it's like he's hung up on coke or crack or something like that. So I can't remember, but yeah, it is all like alluded to those types of movies. So just animals being on drugs and them killing people. That's it. Even though like mostly none of this stuff is true, I don't think. So
it's narcotic geographic.
Yeah. So, but I will say for Cocaine Bear, I think, if I remember correctly, it was directed by Elizabeth Banks, who was also in Zack and Mary Make a Porno. So there's that. But if I remember correctly, they said that it was basically like Jaws, just with a bear in the woods. That's how it was. So, but the only thing that is the difference between Jaws and that, besides, of course, the animal and it being from water into land, is that you actually see a lot of the bear.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say.
Like in Jaws, you don't really get to see him.
Yeah, because the shark looks like shit.
Yeah, but it's also because that the animatronic that they were using for Jaws, Bruce, was just like crashing all the time.
Yeah.
And wasn't working for most of the movie, so that's the only reason why. But yeah, and the bear is CGI in the movie anyway.
Yeah.
So like, but yeah, otherwise, like, and like what's funny is that towards the end you find that it has cubs too, like the bear. And like apparently it gives the bear, like the cubs cocaine. So then they start killing people, like especially at the end, like the very end, there's like this couple and it's only from the camera's perspective where it's like a river and they're up on these rocks and they're like, oh my god, look, it's a black bear. And they do say in the beginning that like with a black bear you have to stand and fight, with a brown bear you have to like make yourself as small as possible,
right? And
so, and of course it's a black bear, and so they're like, oh my god, look, it's got cubs and everything. And then like they all just stare at the camera and they're like, wait, is it staring at us? And then all of a sudden they just bum rush the camera. She's like, oh my god, and then it just ends. So but I don't know, I found it to be a little entertaining. It was kind of funny at times. It's got Ice Cube's son in it, which I never remember his name, but he just gets like a lot of bad luck in the movie because like he's got to get his friend who his girlfriend or wife like recently died, and then he went to go and get a tattoo of her name on his chest, and it's kind of like the whole mom tattoo, right? It's got the heart with the banner around it or whatever, and it's like that, but it says John, and I think it's supposed to be Joanne. So
it's like,
and it's kind of, yeah, and I know what you're gonna say. It's like the SpongeBob thing, where it's all like taking it off and then turning it upside down. It says, wow.
So,
but yeah, that was my watch list. So didn't really watch a whole lot. I watched more Justified this week, but it's neither here nor there. It's a great show. It's got Timothy Oliphant in it. He plays as a U.S. Marshal. So he was like a big time guy, and of course you know how these shows go, right? They're at the tippy top, and then something happens to where they have to go back to the bottom,
Right.
or they go back to where they were from, and all that bunch of stuff. So it's like, oh wow, you're back in town, like I can't believe this, like what'd you do this time, and blah blah blah, and like, oh, I have a bad relationship with my parents, and blah blah blah, and that's why I became a U.S. Marshal. Like that's basically the whole thing of the fucking show.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, ready to talk about Sicario?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about this banger of a movie. That this is definitely a definition of a dad movie. So, haven't talked about one of these in a while. A dad movie.
Yeah.
So, what we'll do is that we will talk about bare bones of what the movie is about, and then we will start talking about more in depth about the movie, specifically about how we feel and what we want to talk about during specific scenes or whatever. So, bare bones of what the movie is specifically about is an idealistic FBI agent is enlisted by a government task force to aid in the escalating war against drugs at the border area between the U.S. and Mexico. Pretty much that's what it is in a nutshell. We got director Denis Villeneuve and writer Taylor Sheridan. Got a stacked cast here. We got Emily Blunt, who plays Kate Macer. Josh Brolin, again, Thanos is coming back for the, second, third time, I think? Because we talked about him in Weapons.
Oh, yeah, he was in Weapons.
Yeah. I
And
can't
then-
remember if we talked about him again last time. Or not last time, but like in a
Just another
earlier movie
Josh
or something.
Brolin film.
I don't know. But he plays as Matt Graver. Benicio del Toro is Alejandro. You got Victor Garber, who is Dave Jennings. John Bernthal. Oh, man, I love John Bernthal. I forgot that he was in this, and then I saw him. I'm like, oh, wait, that's right. He is in this. He plays as Ted. Daniel Kaluuya is Reggie Wayne. And if you do remember him, he's the guy from Get Out. So
I never seen Get Out, but I do recognize him.
yeah, and he's also in Black Panther.
Victor Garber is also, I recognize him most from, he was in The Flash.
Yes.
As he was
The scientist guy.
the scientist guy who eventually became like Firestorm or half of Firestorm,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, he was
Till he
in
died.
DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes, yes.
Jeffrey Donovan, who plays Steve Forson, he's only in this for like not that long. He's only in it for like the first impactful scene of the U.S. and Mexican border scene. He was in Burn Notice and a slew of other stuff, but that's the most notable thing that I can remember him from.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much about it.
Well,
I mean, like
probably
we
should
can
mention
say the
Silvio.
Yeah, Silvio, who's the cop who's in this from time to time, is
He's,
Maximiliano Hernandez.
He is. I recognize him because he is in a bunch of Marvel movies. He's in.
Is he? Is this the guy? I was all like, is this the guy from? Oh, he is. He's the Hydra / Shield agent from Winter Soldier.
Yeah. And he was
'cause, like,
he was
once I
first
s-
in Avengers. Actually, he was on the
Yeah.
he's on the helicarrier,
Yeah,
and then we see him again, and he's like, oh,
yeah. So, but yeah, not really a whole lot of notable people. Definitely very high.
I just
stack
thought it was
cast,
funny if we saw
for
that
sure.
guy.
Yeah, I was all like, he looks familiar. Why does he look familiar? And because that you pointed that out, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that makes sense now. I've only got one tagline for the movie. The border is just another line to cross. So,
That's a good tagline.
yeah. And it definitely hits with the theme of the movie because, like, with Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin, their whole task force is always, like, pushing the envelope, going across the line, which other people will not be willing to do, while basically high-end government officials look the other way.
Yeah.
And so that's been the whole theme throughout the course of this movie is that, like, Emily Blunt with her character,
Kate.
Kate, she is more to the book. She would rather have procedures in place
Yeah,
so
'cause
that
she-
way they can do the right thing and make sure that they don't fuck up, essentially.
Yeah, because she's an FBI agent.
Yeah. And so, like, that's what they're trained to do is do things by the book, by the
Yeah.
procedure of how you're supposed to go about taking down this whole thing or whatever the case is. And that's not what Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin do. Like, that they just go across that line
Yeah.
and they're like, well, we've got to get this done by any means necessary, and it doesn't matter what we have to do to get that done. And especially like later on through the movie, like Emily Blunt is not comfortable with them crossing that line, and she goes like, there has to be a procedure for this. And he goes like, there is no procedure for this. This is what we do, and this is how we're going to get it done. And like, especially where it's like after the U.S. and Mexican border scene where she starts freaking out and she goes like, what the hell was that? Like, what are you doing? And he goes like, this is what we are planning to do. This is the overarching plan. In order for to do this, we have to start making noise. If we make the most noise, then they start fucking up. And like that's the whole thing.
Yeah,
and
it's
like, rattling her and she can't do it.
Like Josh Brolin's character, I'm not gonna remember anybody's names in this movie, by the way.
Neither am I. That's why I'm just like saying them by their actual names.
His character, they describe him as like basically he's there to create chaos.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we have no evidence against these guys that they're doing, because there's like a vast network of cartel activity that stretches over into America.
Yeah.
So they have basically say, well, we can't go after them here, so we basically have to make them come out of hiding.
Right.
So
we have to make them come here, and then we could start approaching them.
And their way is really the only way of doing it that prevents us from the least amount of life lost.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Pretty much.
Because their whole plan is to draw out this guy who has a bunch of real estate in Arizona.
Yeah.
Basically, and he's a known cartel aficionado or something like that. So, or like affiliate, basically.
Right.
Think of the word.
I think he's supposed to be like basically the middleman from the bigger guy to getting all this stuff done, pretty much.
And they're going to use him to be able to find out where his boss is, because he's like he's actually a big cartel guy.
Right.
And they were going to kill him, basically.
Yeah, because like when we're first introduced in the movie, it's a really good scene because like you have Emily Blunt and you've got Daniel Kaluuya. I think that's, if I remember, that's his name. Don't want to fuck it up here. Kaluuya. So we got Reggie and Kate. They're on their way to make this bust at an Arizona home, and so they just like wreck shop and they take out a bunch of like
tank through the house.
Yeah. They just go out. They just like start. Nobody's left alive, pretty much.
Yeah.
That is in that house.
Sweep and clear.
So yeah, they sweep and clear and they get everybody in there, and then one of the guys that's in one of the rooms like shoots at the wall, and then they shoot him, and so then I completely forgot about this too, because I think it was Emily Blunt that sees like a big hole in the wall, and so she like either sees or smells something.
Well, no, what happens is like, why did he shoot? What, he missed me.
Right.
He had a clean shot on me. Why did he shoot me? Why did he shoot the wall instead?
Oh, I missed that then.
Yeah.
But
or something along those lines.
Yeah, it was something like that, because like I didn't really read that much into it, nor do I remember her saying anything about that. But it was the thing where I was like, oh, there's drugs on the walls. Like, duh. Obviously.
Yeah, there must be.
But it just turns out that there's dead bodies wrapped up in the walls, and I'm just like, that is smart, but also fucked up.
I thought it was gonna be drugs too, and it's always dead bodies, and like they start like going outside and start throwing. I was like, wow, that's a lot of dead bodies.
Right, and the smell that is inside the house too, because like I'm pretty sure that like if you board it all up, I'm pretty sure the smell won't really escape that much.
And it's crazy, like to me, like before the tank busts in through the wall, basically, you see a little bit of like a couple seconds of the guy. He's playing with a control. He's playing video games on the TV.
Yeah. That's what they always do. They're either like doing drugs themselves, or they're having sex, or playing like, video games, or whatever. They're just basically hanging out.
That's crazy that he's playing video games and there's a bunch of dead bodies in the wall.
Right. That's what I think is fucked up, is that like you're able to go about your day-to-day thing, like you're able to sit there and eat cereal, and watch cartoons, knowing very well that there are dead bodies in the walls that are like a few inches away from you. Like that's kind of fucked up.
So after they they clear the house, then they start ripping the walls out, and then the superior shows up and says like, gee, how many bodies are there? And it's like, there's a lot. It's a lot of bodies, dude.
It's a lot of bodies.
And then while they're talking, there's two guys that are outside checking the shed.
Backyard, yeah. Oh, the shed, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a little hatch there that has a lock on it. So there's like some guy yells like, "I need bolt cutters."
Yeah.
Right. And then Kate hears that, so she goes over to look up to the window, and then the the whole
thing explodes.
Basically, yeah, like somebody's gender party reveal.
Yeah.
I was telling Devin that like I thought he picked out this movie because of a meme that's been going around of this scene from Sicario.
No,
and I guess maybe I
really
had seen it,
though.
but like basically the caption is like,
when you have a gender reveal party,
like me going outside to check on the gender reveal party, and it's the scene of the shed blowing up.
Yeah. It's a boy.
So not only is this house full of dead bodies, but also the shed was, as soon as you cut off with the body, it explodes.
Yeah.
Even though trace.
Right. I do love the scene that is after this when both Kate and Reggie they're at the FBI and they're all talking and stuff. Like they're not in the room.
They're outside. It's a glass room.
Yeah,
so
but Josh Brolin and a bunch of higher ups, they're talking and stuff, and so Josh Brolin is asking them, going like, "Well, how good is she? How good is he?" And even Victor Garber, Dave, he starts going like, "Well, she's pretty good. She's been doing this for a pretty lengthy period of time, and so he's pretty green, so he hasn't had the chance to be in situations like this."
But he's been to Iraq. He has a degree, and he's like, "I hate lawyers."
Yeah, he goes, "I hate lawyers." And
we don't realize why he says that up until later.
Yeah, up until
and then
later.
It makes perfect sense why he doesn't like lawyers.
Yeah, and so, but he starts asking Emily Blunt questions about like,
do you have any kids?
Yeah, do you have any kids? Like, are you married? Do you like, all this bunch of stuff, and then also like the fact that they're just like asking like, oh, do you know this person? Like, have you heard of this person before and everything like that? And so, like, especially when she goes like, no. And they're like, okay, well, he's a relative of this guy and blah, 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 and whatever. And it's just like giving her as well as us as the audience the lowdown of who these people are that they are going after.
He's talking about Manuel Diaz and Fausto Alarcon, I believe his name is.
Beats the hell out of me.
The two cartel bosses that she doesn't know anything about, because why would she? She doesn't care about this. She's
right.
She doesn't work. She's an FBI agent. She doesn't work. Narcotics.
Yeah, she doesn't work narcotics and stuff like that.
Because she originally thinks, oh, is he a member of the DEA or something?
Him?
No. I'm not asking if he is. I'm thinking she's thinking to herself that Matt must be, Josh Brolin's character must be a member of the DEA or something. Otherwise, why is he going after cartels and stuff like that?
Right. Yeah. That's the only thing that would make the most sense to her, at least. And then so she gets signed up, and so
she has to volunteer for this task force that's going on.
Yeah. They go like, "Do you want to be on this task force?" And so she goes like, "Yeah." And so they're all right, cool. Well, we got on a plane, and then I thought this was actually pretty funny is when he immediately just like starts to like go to sleep, and so she's just like sitting there, and then Benicio del Toro comes on, and so she just goes like, "Oh, like she's like, what the hell?" And so like they introduce themselves, and then he goes like, "Oh, like have because I have it written down so that way I would remember." He goes like, "Have you ever been to Juarez before?" She goes like, "We're going to El Paso." And so she turns back to Josh Brolin, who's already like falling asleep. She's like, "We're going to El Paso, right?" And he goes like, "Yeah, amazing. Okay." He's just like, "What?"
You been to Juarez before?
No, we're going to El Paso, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I can understand her anxiety. She goes like, "Okay, where are we going right now? Because now I'm starting to freak out."
The like to break away from like talking about the events of the movie, like talking about like the overall feel of this movie. Before I get into that, I thought it was fun. I was telling this to Devin, but like looking at Benicio del Toro, he kind of reminds me of a Mexican Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
A little bit. If you don't know who this guy looks like, the best description I can give you is that he looks like Mexican Brad Pitt.
Pretty much.
Basically.
Well, with more like bags under his eyes and stuff.
Yeah, like he's a lot older, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, if you're wondering about what the vibe of this movie so far, if you haven't caught on, it's more of a slow burn.
It is.
Right. It's a very like a lot of the time you really won't know what's going on.
Right.
You're as confused as Emily Blunt's character is.
Yeah.
And I believe that was probably the idea of the writers is like, okay, we need to have we need to have the audience step into Kate Macer's shoes, basically, when we're going off throughout this whole thing, because like the idea of like the whole plan is not like explained at all,
right?
And we just sort of go along for the ride as we're going through here, which is kind of stressful sometimes.
Yeah, because like especially up next is the border scene.
Yes,
that I wanted to talk about because it's such a great scene.
Because they obviously like. Kate thought they were just going to El Paso, which is in Texas.
Yeah.
Like obviously on the right side of the border, but then they realized, like, no, we're going to Juarez, which is in Mexico.
Right.
Which, if you don't know about Juarez, you know, it's just like just a violent.
It's like a violent shootout, like no law, pretty much. It's kind of like the Wild West, essentially.
Yeah, it's the cartel's playground, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Because like they can do whatever they want, they can get away with it, like type of thing. Because even from what we know from Silvio, where he is I would probably say he's a drug mule. Because like especially towards the end of the movie, they start loading up drugs into the back of his squad car and stuff. So
yeah, that's also something that happens like intermittently between this part of this movie where we just get to cut to a random scene of this guy who we don't know the name of yet.
We just know that he's a Mexican police officer.
We know that he's Mexican, that he has a son who likes to play football.
Soccer. Yeah.
Basically. Football, soccer. So, and that, like, it's a very similar to how, like, Vince Gilligan cuts in certain stuff into episodes
and then
the shows
it makes sense later.
Yes. Like,
because it's just like, when you sit here and watch this movie, you're just like, why are we cutting to this random guy that we don't know anything about? Like, he asks for eggs and coffee. And then, next scene, he's a police officer. Well, where does he fall into all this? And then by the end of it, it's just like,
we see him show up in a scene later, and just like then you realize immediately what's going on.
Yeah, because like
a bunch of information in this movie comes at you all at once.
Right.
It's like a buildup that's not. Like it's not like it's just all of a sudden basically.
Right.
It's not even it's gradual, but then when it does happen, it's all at once.
Yeah, because like we'll talk about Silvio here for like a minute because like we're first introduced to him and like he's just a known nonchalant character, and then quickly we realize that he's a police officer, and then by the third time that we see him, he gets woken up by his son, who already has like his food and coffee already set up for him because he wants to play soccer with him. He goes like, "Hey, do you work?" He goes like, "Yeah, tonight." And then he goes like, "Oh, okay." And then
he tries to touch his gun.
Yeah, right? And he goes like, "No, you don't touch that.
Never touch that."
And then, because then the night job that he has is to basically go and get set up with the drugs.
Yeah.
And then for him to go and make a drop. And then when he goes to make the drop, we have the whole gun shootout scene where they're going through the tunnel.
Like they raid.
Yeah, they do a raid through this underground tunnel that they got information from this one guy who's in the pocket of the guy that they're trying to get after.
Yeah.
And so Alejandro is there and he grabs the cop. And then Emily Blunt's also there, and she goes like, "Drop the gun!" And so he shoots her.
He's like, "Don't ever pull a gun on me."
Yeah, he goes like, "Don't ever point a gun at me again." And I'm just like, "Oh shit, he's not playing around with this."
Yeah.
And because then what ends up happening is that he gets in the car with the cop. They drive off, and then they're making their way over towards the one guy that when they're doing surveillance through the helicopter. They're like, okay, like where's this guy at?
Where's my target at? And he's like 40 miles.
He's like on highway whatever, just take route, like go on highway whatever.
Catch up to him.
And so they're like, oh, okay. And so like that's basically the cops role in all of this is just to basically have him go to the one guy to get information, to have him go
it's a
to
smart
the main
plan
guy.
because he has a cop car, so obviously you want to have a car that
Yeah, and then like he pulls him over and he goes like, hit your lights, pull him over,
tell him to
get out of the car, tell him to throw away his weapon, and get out of the car. And then so he shoots the cop Silvio, and then he shoots the guy in the leg and stuff. So, but then we'll get to that later on because it's actually a really great scene that happens afterwards, just to stay on your toes.
But like back to the vibe of this movie, like if you don't like gratuitous violence and gore and mutilation, do not watch this movie.
No.
If that makes you squeamish, probably best to be able to stay away from this movie.
Yeah.
Like even some of the stuff I saw was like, oh man, this is a lot. I'm so glad that I didn't watch this with Amy.
Right, because going back to the border scene, so they start gearing up and they're in line to go across the border, and they're all in like squad cars and stuff, like unmarked vehicles, and they start looking around, and so they're like, oh, like there's this red car that's like 10 o'clock from my position.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for them. There's a green car. Keep an eye out on them. And because like it's all of these, I'd probably say stereotypical like Mexican gangsters, essentially, that they've got tattoos all over them and stuff like that. Like they just don't look normal. Essentially, is what it is. And
they look suspicious.
Yeah, they look suspicious. So they're just like, okay, we'll keep an eye on them. And then, I love this line where they just go like, oh, what are the rules? Go like, engage or do not engage unless engaged first.
Yeah, like,
and so
if they get out of the car, you get out of the car.
Yeah, and it's just like, that is smart because then they have
probable cause.
Yeah, they have probable cause, and because like as soon as one of them opens the door, I think it's like in the red car.
Well, they make a gun as well.
They see a gun.
The agents like make out that he has a gun.
Especially where Benicio del Toro, they all roll down their windows too. Like everybody that's in the car rolls down their windows, and I just think this is really cool because then it's just like Benicio del Toro, he already has his gun trained on him. One of the guys in the red car, and he goes to Emily Blunt, and he just goes like, "Roll down your window," and she goes, okay. And so he's already pointing it at them, because he knows what's about to go down.
Right.
That at any given moment, something's going to go down, and he can suppress fire from afar. So like that's the whole thing. And as soon as they open the door, they're like, all right, get out. And so everybody gets out of their car. They all just bum rush towards the car, pointing their weapons drawn on them. They're all like, don't do it. Whatever you do, don't do it. Stay in your car. Throw out your weapons or whatever. And especially where one of them just makes a move and they just immediately open fire on them. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, this is really intense. And then same thing in the green car. Guy stands up out of the car, and so then Alejandro's already there, and he's all like, don't do it. Throw down your weapon and just surrender. Like, that's all you got to do is just surrender. That's it. And then he doesn't. He goes to like lift up the gun, and they all obliterate everybody that's in that car too. And where Emily Blunt is not comfortable with this, so she's still in the car, and then there's a guy that's just right behind her from outside the car, and then she opens fire on him. Yeah, she shoots him, and then like she is just like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
So, which is great. And then once they go back to the compound, they're all like, oh, like, good job, whatever, blah blah blah. And then Emily Blunt walks up to Josh Brolin and just goes like, what the fuck are we doing, dude? Like, this isn't what we signed up. Like, this is not what I signed up for. Like, this isn't by the book or anything like that. And he goes like, yes, you did sign up. Like, we're here creating chaos.
Yeah.
Like, you need to learn from this.
What am I doing here?
What you're doing here is you're giving us the opportunity to shake the tree and create chaos. That's what this is. In the meantime, just sponge everything up you see. Learn. That's why you're here.
Like, we're shaking the tree to create chaos.
Even if they're driving away, they're like, yeah, that's going to be on the news.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, they're not going to make the El Paso papers, essentially. Yeah. So, and like that's his whole thing is like, showing her what they do.
Did we even mention the fact that like they were gonna go pick this guy up, but they took a whole freaking convoy through the streets of Juarez, like like six like SUVs and like a bunch of trucks with mounted machine guns on them.
Yeah.
And they're just, it's like literally like 3 or 5 minutes of them just driving through the streets.
Yeah, and then like she's also noticing that there's a cop car that's like a few blocks over that is also like going the same speed that they are.
And then it goes away at some point because because the whole thing is like they might fire on us at any point. It's literally like watching a war film in Iraq, basically.
Right, pretty much. But then also wanted to talk about the interrogation scene.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's actually pretty good, too.
I did not understand this scene. I didn't understand what was happening.
So what they were doing was that they were trying to get information from this guy to, I think it was like this random guy that they went to Juarez to go pick up, right?
Well, it's not. I think it's like one of his relatives, basically.
Yeah,
it's like Manuel Diaz's relative. I got that part.
Yeah.
What I didn't understand is when Alejandro came in the room.
So he was doing he was interrogating him,
right?
So because he knows who he is,
right?
The guy that's tied up in the chair, he knows who Alejandro is.
I know.
And so even when Josh Brolin walks in and he goes like, "All right, I need some information." He goes, "No habla inglés." He goes like,
"No habla inglés." I love when they say "no habla inglés."
Yeah, he goes like, "I know what you'll habla for."
You'll probably talk to He'll probably upload to this guy.
No hablo inglés. No hablo inglés. Es muy malo. I love it when they don't hablo inglés. You know, I brought an old buddy of yours. I bet you hablo to him.
Yeah, and so then Alejandro walks in.
Before he does that, he actually talks with one of the guys in the building who apparently was because we find out that Alejandro was a former prosecutor in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was talking about I'm so sorry about what happened
to your family.
And it's yeah.
He goes yeah. So, it's fucked up, but yeah whatever. But yeah, so he grabs the gallon of water.
Yeah.
Or not the gallon of water, but the giant jug of water, right? And it's because they're going to waterboard him.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Because we didn't actually see that part.
No.
They
just get the information.
Just sidled up to him real close.
Yeah. And that's what I loved about this scene too.
I didn't get what that was about.
It's intimidation.
That's I guess
because when Benicio del Toro, he starts kicking his feet away, so that way he can scooch more up. But kicking your feet out of the way,
I just thought it was weird.
Yeah, it's intimidation. That's what it is. Because he kicks his feet away from the sides of the chairs, the inside, so you're more uncomfortable because you have your legs spread open, and because it's all especially if you're a guy. You don't know what's going to happen to your tiddly bits or anything like that. So
I guess I just thought it was very strange.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be making you uncomfortable, and then with him getting him scooting closer and closer to him, basically straddling his leg almost.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
It's again intimidation because the guy won't look at him. He looks up and he looks away. He looks up, he looks away. And so again, it's because he knows who Alejandro is. So it's intimidation, and he doesn't even need to say anything because he's already scared shitless.
Yeah.
And especially with Josh Brolin, he's sitting on the table and he just goes "Don't look at me. You said no habla inglés, remember?"
Yeah.
So
what do you keep looking at me for? No hablas inglés, remember?
And I just thought that was really funny. But yeah, again, it's supposed to be intimidating. He's supposed to get the information out of him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then so they do get it. They get information about this underground tunnel that's over by where this car is and stuff. Oh no.
No, they acknowledge the existence of a tunnel.
Yeah. So then they get on the call with one an agent or a group of agents or something like that
from
that
immigration.
From immigration that has bus full of
migrants, basically.
Immigrants and
because
stuff like that.
They know that there's a tunnel that leads into a compound somewhere.
Yeah.
They just don't know where it is.
Yeah.
So they have to talk to migrants to figure out where it is because their plan is, if there's a tunnel that migrants won't go through, but they know that it's there, that's probably where the cartel is operating from.
Right. So then they have these specific people from these specific groups that are like, hey, like especially Alejandro, he's talking to all of them, get to know them a little bit and stuff like that. So that way they're at ease. And then they're all like, hey, like, we want you guys to show us where the tunnel is. And so they do. And so they're like, okay, like this is pretty much where it is. It's like this abandoned car. It's over here. Like this is where you would have to go.
It's like, it used to be a really good tunnel for getting across the border, but then people stopped going there.
Yeah. And it's only because that the cartel took over that spot.
Right.
And so now they closed off that tunnel so that way they can continue to traffic drugs through and all that stuff. And so like the next thing that I wanted to talk about was like the bank scene, because then they start knowing that like, oh, well, he's got to have somebody that's putting money into his account.
A mule, basically.
Yeah, like a money mule. And so they're like, well, let's go fuck with his money. I love Josh Brolin in this movie. He just goes like, well, let's go fuck with his money now. And they arrest a girl that's a money mule and stuff like that.
White woman, blonde hair, white purse.
Yeah. And so when they arrest her and they take out her bag and they start shaking it out, like a pile, like, rolled up money rolls out. But the curious thing is that they have these wristbands that are on them.
Yes,
like colorful
that's
wristbands.
right. I know where you're going with
this.
And
so, especially with Emily Blunt and
Reggie.
Yeah, and Reggie, where they don't like this. So they want to go in and start, like, they want to go into the bank to start asking questions and start, like, digging and stuff like that.
And George Washington says, you don't want to go in there.
Yep, you don't want to go in the bank. You definitely don't want to go in that bank. And so...
Oh, they're going to the bank.
Yep. Well, there she goes. She's going to the bank. And it's great because the only reason why that they don't go into the buildings that they are doing this stuff in is because, like, obviously cameras. Cameras lead into hacking, which then the cartel can know what you look like, and then they can start digging out information.
I totally missed that.
Yeah, that was the whole point of why he didn't want her to go into, because later on, which we'll get to here in a minute after your thoughts.
No, I didn't. I didn't pick up on that because this is a part of. I didn't watch this movie all the way through.
Yeah.
Because I was watching it at night. I was tired. I went to bed.
Yeah.
So I probably missed that part of like around this scene where they're like explaining like, yeah, that would make sense. You don't want to go into there if you're an investigator because then the cartel knows what you look like. I didn't even consider that. So
yeah, because the biggest thing out of these two things that happen in this scene specifically is, one, she goes into the bank, and so they have her on camera now.
Yeah.
Two is also the little colorful wristbands that are rolled up with the money. They're not rubber bands; they're wristbands.
Yeah.
And it's only because that they get tipped off about this because later that day they go to the FBI headquarters, and so Emily Blunt and Reggie, they go to talk to their boss.
Yeah, because they debrief because he's like, listen, you're asking too many questions, all right?
Yeah. And so he goes like, I don't have access to get a private jet or anything like that. So what they do is that they operate out of this system to basically go after these guys to make sure there is as many less casualties as possible. That is what they're doing.
Kate and Reggie have already made these guys. They're basically just CIA.
Yeah. So, and then, they go to a bar, and that's where we meet Ted for the first time.
Ted, who is played by
John Bernthal.
Yes,
that's who it was. And I love John Bernthal. He's great. He's a great guy. And
he's not a great guy in this movie.
He's not a great guy in the movie, but like, I love Reggie and Kate's dynamic because when she was getting dressed, he goes like, dude, you got to get a new bra, man. Like, honestly, like, you got to get something like sexy, lacy, whatever. And she goes like, well, nobody has seen me in a bra for a very long time.
Besides you.
So that's not going to happen anytime soon. And he says that again at the bar. And he goes like, I'm just saying, man, you just got to get a new bra. That's it.
Yeah.
And she goes like, what are you, my mom? He goes like, yeah, I am your mom now. And he goes like, and I'm telling you, go get a new bra and stuff like that. And like where Ted comes over and they start talking and stuff like that. And then like she invites him over to her place. They start making out, start getting hot and heavy, and then like he picks her up, puts her on the couch, and then he goes like, hold on. So he starts taking stuff out of his pockets. And then he has one of the wristbands, the colorful wristbands that were wrapped around the money. Yeah. And so she looks at that and he goes like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So this was also a great scene because she realizes, oh, fuck, he works for them then.
Yeah.
And then she gets up and he goes like, wait, hold on. Like, what's going on? Talk to me. What's going on? And because he also sees the wristband, he goes like, oh, shit, she's starting to make this connection.
Yeah.
And where he wants her to like stop, come back, and that way that like he doesn't want to kill her,
and then he starts holding her down, and then eventually,
well, she tries to like get her gun.
Yeah,
he smacks it away from her, and then he's like, "What the fuck are you doing, you crazy bitch? Like, you're trying to fucking shoot me and everything." And so, especially when he's like choking her out, he goes like, "You did this, okay? You did this." And then Benicio del Toro comes in, Alejandro, and just like just points the gun right at him. And he goes like, "Get up." And so then we cut to them all being outside, and cut to Kate and Josh Brolin. They're talking in the kitchen. So she goes like, "Used me as bait." He goes like, "No, you made yourself bait. That's what you did." And so she goes like, "Oh, like I was gonna have sex with my own hitman." He goes like talking to Alejandro later.
Yeah. And
he goes like, he wasn't a hitman. Like, he wasn't an assassin or anything like that. He was just a guy that they were using. That's it.
Yeah.
And so I just like, man, that's fucking great. And I have expected them to also like have sex afterwards, because like she was vulnerable and freaked out and everything like that.
What? Who?
Emily Blunt and Alejandro.
No, I never got that vibe at all.
I expected it because like he talked about how like he was reminded of her about somebody that he knew. I think it was basically his wife.
No, I think it was his daughter.
Maybe his daughter.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That would have been
now giving that context.
That would have been really, really strange.
Yeah. So, but
I did not get that vibe at all.
Yeah, but then, but yeah, and it's only because that like with, Josh Brolin, he tells her that like, I told you not to go into the bank, and this is what happens because you went in there.
Yeah, because he made you, basically.
Yeah, because they made you because you were on camera, and that's the reason why I told you not to go into the bank.
Yep.
And especially when they start interrogating Ted, which is great because
he's all beat up at this point.
Yeah, and so like I love this line too, what Josh Brolin says to him, and he goes like, "Do you know what the great thing about you being beat up to a pulp is? Nobody's going to notice a few more scratches."
One more scratch, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm like, dude, fucking banger of a line. It's great. And then where I fucking love Benicio del Toro this scene because he fucking gives him a wet willy. He goes like, stop, get it out of there.
He just fucked with him.
Yeah, he's just fucking with them. And he goes like, all right, fine, I'll tell you stuff. And so Benicio del Toro gets in the car and he's like basically sitting on his lap. And again, it's an interrogation move. It's a power play.
I'm in over my fucking head right now. I'm sorry if fuck, get it out! Get it the fuck out! Give me all the names.
That is the thing.
Weird. It's weird.
It's to make him so uncomfortable to where he just goes like, fine, I will tell you what I need to tell you to get me out of this situation. And again, it's a power play. It's to make him more in power than the person that he's interrogating. And he gives them all this information and stuff. So then they start going towards the underground tunnel. So, which is great because when Emily Blunt and Reggie, they go to the hotel and stuff like that to go and like talk with them and stuff, the task force, and they start saying, okay, like, this is where we're going, this is what we're going to do, and blah, 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 blah. And so then they start making the connection of going like, this is the reason why you wanted to be here.
Right.
And because he specifically says, and I had this jotted down too, so that way I could remember, because CIA can't operate within U.S. borders without a domestic agency attached, being the FBI.
Right.
So, and when he says this, Reggie also verbatim says it word for word, just like Josh Brolin did.
The CIA can't operate within U.S. borders without a domestic agency attached. I told you you'd be useful.
So that's it. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's it. That's why you're here.
Because he knows, because he's also a lawyer, he knows specifically what he was going to say.
Yeah.
Because he was all like, oh, CIA agents cannot operate on U.S. soil without having another government agency attached to them.
So that's why I hate lawyers.
Yeah. He goes like, that's why I hate lawyers. And so Emily Blunt is just like, you used me. And he goes like, yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
That's what I did. Yep. I got what I wanted. You guys are free to go if you want. Or you can tag along. I don't care.
Yeah.
And so they tag along, so they go. And so they just clean up this whole shop and stuff.
Yeah,
so now we'll get to the point where we said earlier about how where Benicio del Toro is making his own moves.
And then Emily falls, and he's like, and Josh Brolin later says, "Well, you went down the wrong tunnel. And you've seen something that you shouldn't.
Yeah,
you saw some things you should have seen."
Right,
so.
because she was following. For some odd reason, she followed Benicio del Toro, and so like
Alejandro.
that's when she finds the confrontation between him and the cop and stuff. And then
she
runs out because Reggie comes out, and so he goes like, "Hey, like, have you seen Kate?" And she goes like, "No." And so they're all about ready to turn around. They're all celebrating a good job and stuff like that.
That was a good, clean fucking op, gentlemen.
Yeah, like no casualties, no nothing. Like we're all like good. And so he goes like, "All right, we got one more. Let's turn back around. Let's go and find her." And she comes walking out and just immediately decks fucking Josh Brolin in the face.
And he doesn't go down.
No, he doesn't. He just grabs her, throws her to the side.
And they throw Reggie to the ground.
And he goes like, "Let it happen."
He says some freaky shit.
Yeah. And she goes like, "Calm down, let it happen." And so they go off to the side, and so he goes like, "You're gonna stay here, all right? You're staying right here." And they start talking, and so like what you said, Josh Brolin just goes like, "Well, you saw some shit that you shouldn't have seen." And because throughout this whole movie, she's all like, "Who is that? Who is he? Who is Alejandro?" And then so he starts telling her this whole thing
basically
about,
like makes the connections like he must work for the Colombian cartel or something like that.
Because she's all like, he works for the cartel. He goes like, he works for whoever he needs to work for to get the goal and to get the job done. That's it.
It's at this point in the movie that you start to realize that Emily is not the main character of this film.
She's not.
It's like Alejandro is the main character, but it's told through the lens
of her. Yeah, because like she's going on these ops. She's seeing what they're doing, and they're not following protocol or procedure, and nothing's being done by the book.
And he's Sicario, basically.
Yeah, he's what they said in the beginning of the movie, a Mexican hitman.
Yeah.
Well, is Spanish for hitman or something like that.
Yeah.
Or assassin. I think it's hitman.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Benicio is like,
I also love this is like Josh Brolin talks about drugs and basically says like there was at one point where America basically like controlled the drugs and how many people got drugs, and now it's like it's becoming too diversified.
Yeah,
we're here to fix that.
Right,
we're here to make it so that America is the only people who are giving out drugs.
Right,
to people basically admitting that like the CIA basically planted drugs in communities to be able to destabilize them and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and that's specifically what happened originally. That was the whole war on drugs, was because it was operated by the CIA to introduce drugs into certain neighborhoods to get them basically hooked on them, so that way, like, okay, like, you know, this is what's happening, like, this is what's going on in the country right now, because, like, you know, I think if I remember correctly, I don't remember specifically, but it was that the U.S. was too at peace with itself. So then they're like, well, we got to stir the pot a little bit. We got to fuck with some shit. So,
right.
And like, that's the reason why, especially like, unfortunately, this is the demographic of black communities being affected by these drugs in these neighborhoods is for that reason specifically.
Right.
So, which sucks. And that is the harsh reality, but you know, it is what it is, unfortunately. But yeah, so Benicio del Toro, he gets the cop. He goes to pull over this main guy that they were looking for, and then
now he's got him. Basically.
Yeah, and so he goes like, "All right, we're gonna go to your boss."
He just leaves Silvio's dead body behind.
Yeah,
and
and then
the police car, the lights on.
Yeah, and then we, of course, later on cut to the Silvio's son being in his room, just staring at his empty bed, and then he's walking away, and then with his well, this is like the ending.
This is the
movie.
very end of the movie.
Yeah.
So we're not there yet.
Yeah. So
but Alejandro takes Diaz to the compound, basically.
And he just goes like, "What are you gonna do with me after we get there?" And he goes like, "Just keep driving."
Yeah.
Like he doesn't tell him, and then they pull up, and he's got a gunshot in his neck, and so he's bleeding out. They're like, "What the fuck?" And then he just kills
like
all
three
of
guys,
them.
yeah.
And then he's making his way up, and he's inside the house, and especially where the helicopter overhead. I don't know if it's a helicopter or the satellite or whatever that they're using,
probably
or
a
UAV.
helicopter.
I would think so. And so they're like, "All right, like you're like we're gonna go blind."
Yeah, the 6
because like
targets
they
remain.
can't see them,
Yeah.
essentially, and so because they're gonna be inside the house, so they can't see inside the house, and so he makes his way over to the big guy, and so his family's eating outside.
He he walks past another bodyguard, kills him. There's a maid cleaning up in the kitchen. Walks by this big courtyard, and it's Fausto, his wife, and his 2 sons. They're eating dinner.
Yep. And so he comes walking up, and he sits down, and he just goes like, "Don't move." And so everybody stops eating, and
All this is in Spanish,
he's
by the
calm.
way.
Yeah, he's calm. He goes like, "Do your son? Yeah, do your son speak English?" And he goes like, "No." I was like, "All right, cool. We're gonna speak in English now then, so that way they don't have to hear what I have to tell you." So they start talking in English. And he's just basically being like, "Okay, like you basically killed my family, killed my wife, killed my daughter."
Because Josh Brolin explains to Kate that Alejandro's family. Why is he
Was
like this?
slaughtered
Is like
in front of him.
like Fausto cut off his wife's head and then threw his daughter into a vat of acid.
Yeah.
Which it's
So-
like Joker-esque
Yeah.
in terms of like cartoonish violence.
Right. It's fucked up for sure.
Yeah.
Because then he's talking to the main guy about how like, "Oh, it's nothing personal," and he just goes like, it was personal to me.
Must be nice to sit here eating dinner with your family. I wish I had that.
Yeah. And he just goes like, "To be honest, it wasn't anything personal." He goes like, "It was personal to me." And then like he kills his wife and 2 sons. And then
He's like, "Keep eating."
yeah, he goes like, "Keep eating. It's your last meal. Keep eating." And then
He just shoots him.
Yeah, and then he just shoots him, which kind of like shocked me a little bit. I'm like, jolted me because like I was expecting him to actually like shoot because I didn't remember it. But then we cut to Kate being back at home,
and she's got like a black eye, basically, like
Yeah.
a really it looks really bad.
Yeah. And then Benicio del Toro comes in, Alejandro, and he just goes
like,
like, "Hey, I need you to sign this paper."
Probably not a good idea to be standing on balconies right now. It's like, I need you
Yeah.
to sign this paper, basically saying
Say that we did this by the book.
There's a clean up, and she's like, "I'm not gonna sign this." And then she like crying because she knows what's gonna happen if she doesn't sign it, but she's still trying to say no anyway.
Yeah.
And basically just pulls out a gun and like puts her up
Under her chin.
It's like, you basically be committing suicide, Kate.
Yeah. And because like if she didn't sign it, he would make it look like it was a suicide, which
Yeah.
is great. And
So she signs it. He stands up, takes apart the gun, walks out.
well, the thing was is that like I like this because I had this line written down which goes so hard in this movie. He goes like, "You should move to a small town where the rule of law still exists. You will not survive here. You're not a wolf, and this is the land of wolves now."
It's the land of wolves now, yeah.
And then so then he walks out, and so she runs out of the patio with the gun drawn, and like before she runs out, she cocks it up.
She has to put the gun back together real quickly.
Yeah. And so because you hear the gun like click,
Yeah.
and so before she runs out to the balcony, has it pointed at him, and he just turns back around, just looks at her, and then
just keeps walking.
yeah, he just turns right back around, just keeps walking because he knows that she's not going to shoot him.
Yeah.
So and then we cut to
the final scene.
The final scene where it's like the little kid,
He's playing soccer outside.
Silvio's son and his mom, they get ready to go take him to soccer, and then everybody's like standing there watching their kids play soccer and everything, and then all of a sudden they hear gunshots, and then they all stop, they turn, and then the whistle blows, so then they continue to play soccer, and then that's where it ends.
That's where it ends.
So,
That's the end of Sicario.
And then that's like the title card too, is Sicario.
Yeah.
It doesn't start with the title card, it ends with it, which is great. So, but yeah, that's the end of Sicario. So let's go ahead and quickly wrap this up here, because we've been talking for a little while here. So now we will get to our consensus on this being a rent, buy, or skip. So Rent is just an alright type of movie. It's alright. Like, I'll check it out every once in a while. Buy is a fuck yeah type of movie where it's the best of the best of the best, sir, with honors. Or is a big piece of dog shit. I will never watch this again. Even if I'm forced to watch it, I will not watch it type of movie. So I'll just make mine short and sweet here. For me, it's a buy.
Fuck yeah!
Best of the best, sir. With honors.
Because, you know, of all the stuff that I've talked about throughout the course of this movie, where the line delivery hits so hard, the character development is so great, the story is really interesting, because, you know, you've got an FBI agent who later on we find out the CIA agents are trying to get to these drug cartels by any means necessary, crossing that line, not going by the book, not going by the procedure. And you've got this one character that does all of that stuff thrown into the middle of this sort of war that they're at. And it's going like, I want to take you for a ride. I'm going to show you all this bunch of shit. So, but, you know, and it's not heavy on action. It's more like a thriller. Like you said earlier, it's a slow burn and everything like that. So, it's definitely getting to the bottom of it movie, a dad movie, if you will.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and like the acting is stellar. All this bunch of stuff is just great in this movie. So, yeah, for all those reasons, I'd say that it's a buy. And I already know what you're gonna say, but
do you
go ahead?
Personally, I thought it was okay. I thought it was just fine. You know, I think that it's one of those movies that you'll appreciate more on your second watch through than on your first. But what the first watch, I was just kind of really confused. A lot of the points up there, and it's just like, it was just very gritty to me.
Yeah,
it was hard to watch at some points. Because of a lot of the it's a lot of like establishing shots and a lot of like, oh, is something going to happen here, and that never does until like, again, the very very end where everything all is revealed, you know.
Right.
I think the idea of presenting the movie through Kate's point of view is sort of like, it's a way of subverting expectations of how these movies normally play out.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to do like a character who has a tragic backstory, and they lay all their cards on the table right away, and then you see sort of like what happens afterwards, sort of deal.
Right.
But instead, they didn't do it like that in this one. But for me, if we're talking about just like first time watching this, I'd probably say it's a skip for me, because I just didn't get much. It's not that I hated it or anything like that, but I probably wouldn't watch it again, because it's kind of this like, I already know what all is going to happen. Maybe it might be more interesting to like watch it again a second time. Yeah. I'll give it a low rent.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
yeah,
I'll give it a rent, but
that's
like
better.
I don't think I would want to watch this movie again.
Yeah,
maybe like down the line, but like I don't know. I thought it was just okay.
Yeah.
You know, it just felt a little confusing at times.
Yeah.
And again, the whole idea, like you really do, it really does set yourself in Kate's shoes of like, you have no idea what's going on until like the very end, by the time it's already too late.
Yeah.
I just thought it needed more, maybe a little bit more action.
Right.
But for what it is, I guess it's okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite. I'll say that much.
They do have a sequel out.
Yeah.
Which Day of Juarez, I think, is what it's called. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But like they have a sequel out, which is actually pretty decent. I know that people that really liked the first one didn't really like the second one as much, but I think it's probably just because it has too much action in it.
Oh, okay.
And Emily Blunt is not in the second one. So none of the the only two reoccurring characters that are in the second one are Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
That's it. So, and I think it's about Alejandro finally getting revenge for his family or something like that, because Josh Brolin goes like, I have information for you that you might want to see, and like Alejandro is just like basically done because he thinks he got revenge for his family and stuff like that. So at the end of the first one, so I think it was probably a cash grab.
Here's the best thing I can say about this movie is like watching this movie makes me want to rewatch like some episodes of like Breaking Bad. It's got that same sort of feel to it where it's got this like slow burn grittiness. I got felt like a lot of like Vince Gilligan's like sort of way that he does his filming in this movie. But at least that Breaking Bad has some like other bits to be able to break up a lot of this like dramatic like of what's going on, you know, like trying to I get to the bottom of this sort of mystery type of deal.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to explain this, I guess. But
right.
I'm gonna give I gave it a rent basically.
Yeah.
But I personally I don't think I would watch it again. But I didn't hate it. I thought it was just okay. You know.
Yeah.
Sort of like I'd give it like a 6 out of 10, basically, if we're giving it a rating.
Yeah.
So, I could see why some people might like it.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just a little bit too weird, I guess.
Right.
Some scenes were really weird, so.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's go ahead and just move on to suggested people. So what we do is that we will talk about a 1-10, sometimes both star review on IMDb, depending on what we give our consensus for. So I just opted out just to be in a 1-star review because there's not a whole lot here. So
yeah, okay.
But first person says, absolutely BS, slow paced and boring. I can't believe I watched this crap. The movie is nothing but to prove one psycho character right at every point. No story, no going, just 2 hours of BS talks and needless killings. Which there really wasn't that. Just needless killings. So, the other one is like, because they're all like pretty small and concise is what I like to do. This other person says, boring and overrated. No action, nothing happens. You will get bored. I don't get why it is described as action. Which I didn't really know this was considered an action movie. I just thought it was just like, like it's a crime thriller type movie. So, and then we'll finish out with this one. Like I said, most of them are all pretty short, but some of them are really lengthy that we just can't talk about.
Yeah.
So it says, why is it so highly rated? It is so boring that I couldn't watch it within one day. I was confused and didn't get a single thing. I feel like that's also you.
Yeah. Everything
is too fast and didn't understand what's all about. Later, I have to watch an explanation video to understand the whole movie. Yeah, it's all written there in black and white. So you just need to get through the whole movie.
I think I will have more of an appreciation of it if I watch it again.
Yeah.
I think.
I would probably say so. Because if you watch it in one going, because I thought the same thing when I first watched it too. I was just like, it's all right movie. And then I watched it, this is my second or third time watching it. It's just like, no, now I understand because my cinema brain has actually expanded.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, this is actually a really good movie. Now I understand a whole lot more. I feel like that if you watch it a second time, not anytime recently, give it a little bit, and then I'd say rewatch it. And
if you're like a cinephile like Devin is, you might have a really appreciation of this movie watching it the first time around.
Yeah.
But if you're more of a casual viewer, it might take a couple of watches to be able to fully grasp what everything is going on.
Because, like, especially at the time when this first came out, I was all like, oh, cool. You know, like, it looks pretty awesome, whatever. And then I watched it eventually, and then I was just more of a casual movie watcher. I was just like, oh, okay, you know, like, it was fine. Like, it's whatever. And now that, like, I'm more dissecting movies, not just for the show, but just in general, of a more understanding and appreciation for movies, I'm just like, no, this definitely is a really good movie. Now that I actually understand all these different scopes and what they're trying to do and all this bunch of stuff, it makes it a lot better. So, but yeah. Otherwise, anything else on this movie?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, cool. With that being said, thank you everybody so much for watching, listening, tuning in, however you guys are doing it. We really appreciate you being here. Be sure to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Be sure to follow the show on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Also, be sure to give everything a like. Share this around with everybody that you think is interested in movies, movie podcasts, people talking about movies, whatever the case is. And be sure to leave a comment in the comment section below about a movie that you guys want us to talk about. So, really appreciate the feedback. And what do you guys think about Sicario? Let us know. And you guys can check us out on Instagram and on TikTok. And then we will see you guys next week for something new. So it'll be my birthday episode. So stay tuned for that.
Yep.
So it'll be great. Hopefully I can get some people in. But because it is the holidays, we'll see what we can do. So with that being said, bye.
Bye.